Hi, Lisa Schermerhorn here, and I am so thrilled and excited to introduce you to my friend Tarasa Lovick. She is in my book, We Are Quantum, and she's an extraordinary healer, and she's a Christian mystic and a spiritual alchemist. I wanted to make sure that I got that correct, but she's so much more than that. And I really wanted her to share her a little bit about her and how she ended up on this journey in the quantum realm and in the healing arts. So, welcome, Taraza.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I was honored to write a chapter, to be asked to write a chapter for your book.
Well, you were the first one who got your chapter in, so I was really
No way!
you were like on it. I'm still getting chapters from people
Well, I haven't.
a
That's
year
sweet. That
later.
is sweet. Yeah. Wow. I was happy. It makes me happy to know.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to read the book. I saw the list of people just last night and I was like, wow, I
Yeah.
can't wait to read this. This is going
Yeah.
to be phenomenal. And now I think, like with my own book, I had the goal, as I said, if one person is reached,
Yes.
but a lot of more have been reached, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it is because, and I tell this story is that it came from I started doing quantum healing and calling it that. And my
Mhm.
daughter looked at me one day and said, "What's quantum healing?" And I was like, "Do I
Right.
really want to get into quantum physics? Do I want to get into, all of that, the technical side of it?" And then I thought the best way people learn is through story. So I wanted to hear people's stories because quantum is different with everyone because we all manifest differently. So some people are healers, some people are artists, and we all help heal through the
Yeah.
different modalities.
Yeah. That's true. So that was funny when you asked me. That was my first thought was, wow, I never really thought, what the heck is quantum healing?
Yeah,
Huh? And then, so my one sentence version of quantum healing is one being one with source.
exactly.
That's my, after I thought about it a little bit, I'm like, yep, that's it. That's what it is. Because when we love people, they can heal.
Yes.
And really, my journey was I had a really tough time growing up, and I was abused in all ways, even as a very young child. And then when I became 6 and 7, I started really um, realizing that, boy, something's not right here.
Hmm.
And as a 6 and 7 year old, when you've been abused your whole life, you don't know what's not right, but you just know
Right.
this is not right. And I have two Native American great grandmothers, and they're full bloods.
Hmm.
And so that's really my journey started with them when I was born,
Hmm.
seriously. But it didn't really start until I was old enough and they took me into the woods and they would teach me.
Hmm.
Like, really, they were amazing teachers. Like, one of my great grandmothers, she taught me, I first started meditating when I was very young. And she brought me out into the woods and she just brought me through this beautiful, relaxing thing in the woods. And I was, because I lived in such a chaotic, violent environment, she was like preparing me for
Hmm.
what protecting me in every way that she could.
Hmm.
Uh, but because of free will, she could not control the harm that other people were doing.
Right.
Her own family, her own children
Right.
were a part of that. But so I started there, and then when I was 6 and 7, I started being visited by spirit beings,
Hmm.
and it was pretty regularly. Like, there was one time, one night I was just praying I wanted to die. I really
Yeah.
wanted to die. I didn't want to kill myself. I didn't want to be dead. I
Right.
just didn't want to have to go through this suffering anymore. And this might sound strange, but this gorgeous light being, it wasn't a person, it was light being. It was just
Mm.
pure light, and it didn't have wings.
Mm.
Everybody's angels, but mine have wings. I actually think they don't have wings. I think it's because they're refracting so much opalescent light, it looks like wings. I've never seen anything with wings, and light beings with wings came through the the, the ceiling and just stayed there with me.
Mm.
And it was just like, it's unbelievable how being in that light, which that light being was like just pouring light into me, every
Wow.
cell in my body.
Wow.
And I've never really shared this with anybody. I hope this
Okay.
isn't
I
too
won't
weird.
tell anyone.
But that was when things really started to open up for me. And this light being knew not to touch me.
Mhm.
So I could feel the energy coming. And it was just amazing. So one of the things that really I wanted to be dead was I just didn't want to suffer anymore because it was really tough. Was I would I was actually being sacrificed, and they were supposed to sacrifice me. But even the dark side they have their rules. So when they tried to sacrifice me, I should have died. I remember this. And I didn't die because the light beings
They
they
were
said,
protecting
no,
you.
you're not taking her life.
Wow.
Now, the rule is for the dark side is that um, when you try to sacrifice somebody, if they don't die, you don't get another chance. Even the dark side has their rule about that.
Hmm.
And it took me years to unravel what all these curses and stuff were put on me. And because I didn't die and they couldn't try again, they did these other things. And it wasn't, and this is what quantum healing is.
Hmm.
This is what is quantum. Source never left me alone in that darkness. And that's the beauty of the work that I can do with people, because I've been there and I've totally healed from it. So they did try to sacrifice me. They were not successful. And I knew that there was something protecting me
Hmm.
because I had seen other people be sacrificed. It's a very tormenting, um, hideous thing that they do to people.
I
It's
cannot even imagine.
No, you can't.
It's,
You can't
yeah.
imagine, and you don't need to or want to imagine it. It's like you don't have to do that. I mean, if somebody comes to you for healing that's gone through something like that, then there's a certain part that you'll have to let flow through you,
Mm.
but you don't keep it. So then one of the things that they did was, um they said that my first child would be, if my firstborn child would be not me. They said this.
Hmm.
They put this curses or whatever you want to call them on you, and it would be committed to Satan.
Mm.
I always loved God,
Hmm.
and I know now that I was born into this family, so I could transmute a lot of darkness, and
Wow.
that's pretty much what I do. It's Nothing surprises me. And my heart of hearts is to work with children who have been richly abused.
Wow.
That's my heart of hearts.
Wow.
That's like when we start having the proper treatment for these beautiful souls that have been harmed,
Mm.
and and they are harmed. I was harmed, and it took a lot for me. I started out like, as a little baby when I was in my teens, and my great grandparents, they lived to be 105 and 106.
Wow.
Yeah. They stayed here until I was okay, and they knew I was going to be okay.
Mm.
Like I can feel them right now in back of me.
Mm.
Like their presence is, they're very much a part of my life. So even as a child, I knew, and that was one of the things I was like, then I'll never have a kid. I was like one of those kids, it was
Wow.
like they would like put something on me, and really God would give me an antidote to it.
Mm.
Seriously, that's what happened. And that's the only way I survived.
So let me ask you, have you ever thought about this? And you, I'm sure you might have, is that what separated you from the other children that actually did get sacrificed?
I
Like,
have
why
no
were you
idea.
saved?
I was saved because God has work for me to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and one of the persons that got saved was my father,
Mm.
who was a perpetrator and definitely a sociopath.
Wow.
And he got saved through my love and my forgiveness.
Mm.
And I got saved, really saved, through Jesus when I traveled to India for over a decade. And when I was working on my second doctorate in holistic theology, and I was in a Hindu temple, and I was like just tired of carrying the rage inside me. I always had this rage because you don't go through that kind of torment without rage.
No.
And
No.
anybody that would suggest that to me, I would just like turn around and walk away because I'm like, no, and it doesn't matter. And it just, your psyche gets affected. My brain literally had to be completely rewired.
Yes. Well, they
I know, and
split.
I
They
don't just
do
mean a
this.
little bit, like
Yeah.
surgery on my brain.
Oh, wow. Because I know they do this intentionally to split you.
They do though. They absolutely what they
They
do.
split you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. And it works for most people.
Yeah.
But I was given a very strong will. So
Amazing.
like they would do ridiculous things like to use you like as a display. Yeah, I don't even know what you call it, but they would do things like just squeeze your fingers until the blood popped out the end of your finger. You know, this is it's sick.
I don't understand.
No, you can't understand.
No, I don't.
But then you couldn't understand sacrificing a child after you
No.
have sex with it, by the way.
Wow.
And it's just not one person.
Hmm.
So, and that's exactly what they try to do. That's why it makes me crazy. Like today, and the Department of Education says, we're not going to do cursive writing anymore. Cursive writing wires your right and left brain, just like playing the piano. Anything that's, cross body,
Right.
and they're taking it out. And I swear it's got to be these evil people who are doing that, because
Yeah.
not only is it faster to write cursive, it's it wires the
It
brain.
helps me remember things more than
Yeah,
typing. Like when I
yeah,
write it, I can't even read my
exactly.
handwriting, but once it's written down, when I take notes, it's just
Yeah,
locked in there. It's in
yeah. I
there.
have my little pen and paper right here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Mine
that's
too.
and I handwrite, and then I type.
Yes.
And some people are telling me that you can verbally speak, just read your text and it'll type. I'm like, that would be cool. I haven't figured that out yet. I just haven't had time.
No, I've done it. I still prefer to type, but that's just me. I'm old school. But going back to this, how do you recover from that? Because it was your family, and then you go, it's like there's no
It wasn't
support
just my
system.
family, but it was my
Right, and
family.
there were others, but without a support system, how do you get out of that? Like what was, and you did have a support system because you had the spirit realm.
I had the spirit realm, and
You had
that's
the
how
spirit
I got
realm.
out. And they protected me like like all the time. They
Yeah.
did everything they could to protect me. And then they did a lot more. Like that time I wanted to be dead.
Hmm.
It was like something really horrible. They did horrible, horrible things. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And that light being just coming, knew not, don't touch her. Just
Hmm.
sit with her. And that was actually the beginning of my understanding the higher realms. I
Hmm.
didn't understand it, but
Right.
they were communicating to me in my through my mind,
Right.
like telepathically.
Right. Telepathy. Yep.
It
Absolutely.
was telepathy.
Yep.
And it wasn't 101. It was like I always knew. Like they would be while I was being tormented, there were many times when they would override the torment in my
Really?
mind. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
That you may never heard that before, or maybe nobody ever survived it the way I did, but that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
So it's like they would be infusing me with the truth and wisdom and blocking stuff from my brain being totally controlled by them.
Wow.
And other people, many other people didn't survive it.
Yeah. I almost see this image of you in the middle and one side having one arm like a tug of war and the other side on the other. Do you know what I mean? Like you getting
It
pulled
was
back and forth.
absolute, and it was a battle even after I
I
left,
imagine.
Lisa.
Yeah.
It was a battle. And the battle was inside me.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things that helped me was when I realized that fear is connected to pain.
Mm.
Now, I'm going to say in my next book that's coming, I am actually going to have a chapter on fear.
Hmm.
And so I realized that fear was connected to pain.
Mm.
So I developed ways to not have pain even when it was pain. And the light beings really helped me.
Wow.
Like literally, they helped me. When I was 12, um, my dad was going to burn us all in a house alive. And I didn't really want to die by being
Mm.
burned alive in a house. So guns were a thing in my house and not in a good way. And I knew where the guns were kept. And I went and got one. I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Okay. So this is an example of the telepathy and how God saved my life. He saved all of our lives because we were all locked in and it was a chaotic scene. And I just decided I don't want to die this way. So I went and got a gun and I pointed it at my dad's head
Hmm.
and I was going to pull the trigger. I
Mm.
just couldn't take any more. And so I'm standing there and then Jesus comes in
Mm.
and he stands between me and my father. There wasn't very much room. I was like, I wanted him gone. So he couldn't hurt me anymore. And Jesus just in my mind, he said, don't pull the trigger. And I didn't at the time know that that was Jesus.
Mm,
I learned that later. And in my mind, I said, I want him dead. Like I didn't say anything out loud, but
right.
that was, I was having this, probably sounds insane what I'm saying, but this is what really happened. And I just knew he gave me, Jesus actually gave me the energy, the strength, the courage. It took great courage not to pull that trigger. Would
Yeah.
have been easier to pull it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And um, and that was a huge turning point for me.
So how did your father back down? Like you're standing there with a gun and you're saying to him, you're talking to your father and you're ready to end
Blow
it
his
all.
brains out.
Right. Once you didn't do it, he didn't call your bluff and do it anyway, or did you scare him enough knowing that you
Oh no, it wasn't just me. There were light beings that were like not gonna let him burn us alive.
But my question was, what did he do? Like, how
Oh,
did
what he
he
did?
change his
You know what
decision?
he did? He stood there. He was sitting in his little king perch, and he said, "These are bad words."
Yeah,
He
you
just
don't
said,
have to go into the whole. Yeah,
no, and he just screamed at me and said, "You blah 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 blah." Slut was a thing that he used to call
yeah.
me. That was what I was called all the time growing
Mhm.
up. And it, go ahead and pull the trigger. And it just moved. My act of courage just moved him like to a place of, with the help of the spiritual realm.
Right,
Okay. Because I was not, that was Jesus
right.
that was there. That was, and there, in my experience, there's no more power than what Jesus wielded
Hmm.
ever. I don't know any human being. I love Jesus, not only because he saved my butt more than once, but he was, the Jesus I know, it's like he would like at such critical times he would come to me and he would just speak to my mind. And he guided me towards service. And that's the real way that is a key element in my life of how I got free.
Hmm.
I chose to serve God. And even as a child, I would sneak and read the Bible. And I was most interested in what Jesus said.
Interesting.
I know, isn't that strange? I bet you never meet anybody
Well,
else
you
who did
never
that.
think about a child sneaking to read the Bible, but I will tell you, having done a lot of these interviews with the people in this book, there is in most people a common thread of faith.
Oh, faith and trust.
Yes,
I came here with faith, which is for me, faith is to love source. And that's really what to love and trust source.
yeah,
And it's amazing. Like I just pray, oh God, I really relate to Divine Mother more than I do Divine Father. My mother was worse than my father in a lot of ways, but it
mm,
has nothing to do with them. That's how we learn to project onto the
right,
spirit realm what happens to us here. So we have to, that has to be healed. We have to
right,
come to see that, oh, my father was this way. That doesn't mean that God's that way. There's like,
exactly,
there is a realization. It sounds silly for me to say this, but I can't tell you how many people I've had that I've helped to just say, you get to create your own creator,
right,
you know? So, and that's an important work that I think everybody in the quantum fields of healing, and there's many,
right.
like,
But I've met a lot of people who have been through far less than you have. Um, And this is no judgment. It's just I see a lot of people who go into victim and blame and use that. And I don't know if that was part of your vernacular of how you went through for a period. Like, how did you get yourself? I understand you were surrounded by spirit, but there's also a human and a little girl inside who has rage and anger, who wasn't raised with love, wasn't taught any of these things. Like, how were you able to function in the world as once you left that house?
Oh, it was a lot easier actually.
I'm
The
sure.
first thing I did, I graduated from high school. I knew I had to graduate from high school. I wanted to go to college. I'd love to learn. I got on a bus. I headed to the town that I had enough money to get to. And I got a job working at Dunkin' Donuts. And I sought help.
Mm,
I found a psychotherapist. I just knew I needed help
hmm
and I wanted help. And, the faith thing, that's a big stump for a lot of people to have to get around
hmm
because somehow I knew, and I think it was just the downloads that I had been receiving to sort of balance out. But the first thing the thing that really set me free was serving others.
mm,
I, even as a young person, I started today, Green Up Day. Seriously, I did. I was disturbed by all the garbage everywhere in Fairfax, Vermont. And I was just like, and my great grandmother said, well, why don't you do something about it? So we started with just like my class picking up trash.
mm.
And then, pretty soon now everybody's picking up trash. And today I think is the pick up trash day, green up day, right?
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
So that was one of my first acts of service. And so I just know that my choosing the avenue of service to others and to humanity and to the earth, like it's not like it was all conscious.
Right,
It was it was just it was the only choice I could there was no other choice for me.
right.
Like this isn't right. What can I do to change it? And that's still a real rebel, okay? And then like everybody was afraid of my family and that stuff that was going on in the whole community actually. It wasn't just me who was there was a lot of violence against children. There still is, unfortunately. But then as I got older, I found other ways to serve. And one of the things that happened for me was I had a home economics teacher when they still did home economics. I'm
Mhm.
71, so they were doing home economics. And she came to me and she said, Tarsa, how would you like to go to Hyde Park? And they're having a Future Homemakers of America thing there. And she said, I think you'd be really interested in that because she always saw me as a leader.
Mm,
Because I was one of these people who I was there, like if somebody was being picked on or I was all about justice. You know,
mm,
why are you bullying this person? Just because they don't have money or whatever. And so I was a rebel. Like I could tell you some things I did. I'm not proud of the things I did, but some of them,
well, that
like
was your survival.
yeah, it was. And it was like a lapse in goodness too.
Mm.
Sometimes like I took my shoe off and whacked somebody across the face who was bullying somebody.
I
Which
don't think that's such a bad thing. I was bullied as a kid, so I wish someone did that for
you
me.
should have had somebody like me there
Yeah, I would
helping
have hung
you
out
out.
with you.
So I mean, I'm talking like the really poor kids who, had to deal with head lice and
Yeah,
not having food and not having clothes and people just like they're brilliant people. They're just really nice people if you would like get to know
yeah,
them. So
absolutely.
anyway, I did. So then when I got really lucky, I went there and I had such a good time. I was like, wow, they're serving people. It's all about service. Future Homemakers of America was all about service, right?
Wow.
So go fast forward, and before the end of that summer, I was not only I came back to my town and we started a chapter, and we just had so much fun giving, like uh, doing service for older people who needed lawns raked or whatever. And we would do like community baskets at Thanksgiving. We just did all this stuff that anybody was interested in doing. So we go to the state convention, and um, I was nominated for, and ahead of time actually, and I won the a state office. I know, right? It's competitive, just like voting,
Mm.
like when you have Democrats and Republicans or Libertarian or whatever. So I won, I ran for state office and I won. And the national, I'll never forget, her name was Louise Liddell, and she really liked me because I had to do public speaking and I had to do all these things. It was a very competitive thing at the University of Vermont. I had no idea what I was doing. But again, um, it was the spiritual help that I always had access to. Like I was being told, or being guided what to do. Like in my house, if you ask for, but please pass a potato, you were lucky if you didn't get a black eye. So you
Mm.
just didn't ask, right? I mean, if you were smart,
Yeah.
you just get up
Wow.
and go get it yourself, right? So then it got even, so that was, so I got to serve the whole state of Vermont, as, and so, and it was like, it's kind of funny because I had like no business doing this, but Lois Putnam believed in me, and Betty Davis believed in me. She was the state advisor. And Louise Liddell, who was the national advisor, I don't, for some reason, God just gave her such a love for me that she said, I want her to run for a national office. I didn't know any of this was going on. It was all
Wow.
behind the scenes, right? So then Lois Putnam sits down with another person, and my parents had to agree. Okay. That was a miracle,
Wow.
absolute miracle. And somehow they raised money overnight so I could go to Kansas City, Missouri and run for national office. And the person that was running also was a Texas oil girl, like
Oh, wow.
really loaded, and everybody was like making me clothes so I could go to the national convention to run for
And
national
this
office.
is for which organization?
Future Homemakers of
Oh, this
America.
was Future
Yeah.
Homemakers. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know if it was
it
another
was just like,
organization.
yeah, it was, yeah. They exist in some realm, but I don't think it's on Earth anymore. No,
Yeah.
they are here. So anyway, so I won that national office, and uh it was, believe it or not, angels and spirit beings, and they're a lot more powerful spirit beings than angels. A lot of people are familiar with angels,
Hmm.
but they're there to help us all the time. I can't tell you how many sessions. It's not me. I mean, I feel like I'm cheating. I tell people this is not me. They'll go, how did you know that? Or it's like, how when people they come to you like with a physical problem, right? I'm sure you've had this happen.
Hmm.
And they say, could you really work on my knee? It's really hurting my left knee, like blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And I said, your body will tell me exactly what it wants right now,
Right.
because the body never lies.
Right.
It's the only thing that doesn't lie besides God. God never
Yeah.
lies. But you know what I mean when I say that.
Yes.
So so that was just amazing. And each one of the 13 national officers, we had to have a project. And so I chose my project as illiteracy,
Mm.
actually literacy.
Literacy.
I chose literacy was my project because nobody in my family they were all illiterate. They couldn't read or write
Really?
above fourth grade level. That's a technical definition,
Hmm.
which is not a very advanced level of reading.
No.
Oh, and that was the other thing I did. Oh, I gotta share this. When I was very young, I was 7, a spirit being told me, do not watch TV. I'm serious.
I
They didn't like
believe you.
verbally say it, but it was telepathically communicated. But I knew it was such a clear message. Once we get our antennae up to remembering who we really are, the
Hmm.
more we practice that, the better we get at it. And as a child, it works that way too.
Yeah,
Even if you're being traumatized, it still works that way. So, and then, I think we're all like destined. We have a job to do. Like,
exactly. I believe that too.
and yeah, and our jobs change. Like I know how God has changed my job. So that was the most fabulous year. I got to travel all over the United States and speak places.
Mm.
And I got to go to Washington, D.C. when it wasn't quite so insane as it is now, like 5 times. To plan the national convention in LA and so all that stuff. And then it just never stopped.
Mm.
So I really have always believed in giving back to community.
Yeah,
I don't care how you do it. If you work at the dump, sorting out stuff or whatever you do, that I service is what saved my life.
yeah. No, I'm a firm believer, and I know I used to do that with my children. It's like when you get new toys, we have to take these toys, and I would take them to homeless shelters and places where they could donate and they could see who they were going to. They weren't just going into a bin somewhere. I
Right.
find that very important, and it makes you feel good. Like there's something that happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I did it not just with my kids, but with everybody else's kids too. So
yeah,
one
it's
of our most
awesome.
sacred traditions was we would make hundreds and decorate hundreds of Christmas cookies. And so myself with my daughters and all their friends, right? They would come over. And the idea was is that each person would take, however many, a dozen cookies, usually, I guess it was, to someone who was loaning, like in a nursing home,
Mm,
or couldn't really bring sugar cookies to the hospital, could we?
yeah.
So, but they found families, they found organizations like, um, I'm trying to think of what veterans, Vietnam veteran, and that
Hmm.
in those times for me, that's what it was. But there's still a lot of Vietnam veterans, the ones that haven't died from Agent Orange, that are um, not healed.
Yeah,
They never received what they needed to know to become the wholeness that they really are. That's
yeah.
but so the cookie thing, oh my goodness, that and then my daughters and I used to go to this farm every Sunday and brush 75 horses and clean them. It was
Mm,
just giving is just so
no,
important.
that is beautiful. Now you mentioned daughters, so you did end up having children.
I ended up adopting children.
Adopting children. Okay,
Yeah.
so oh, so interesting. Did you marry and adopt, or did you adopt on your own? How did that work for you?
I married and adopted. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was 7, remember I told you that I knew that they were going to take my first child if I ever had one.
Right,
So I'm not going to have one. I'm not stupid. There's
right.
no way I'm going to. give birth to someone going to hell.
Right.
Not that I couldn't have stopped that, but that's not even the point. But that's the mindset I had. It's like, you can't control me. I'm just not having a kid. I never told anybody that. But one time, well, Divine Mother, it was actually Divine Mother that came to me. And she actually told me that I was not going to have my own children. She knew I wouldn't. Not that I'm sure she could have helped me, but
Hmm.
I didn't have the faith for that. So I
Right.
wasn't risking it. Okay. To
Right.
be perfectly honest with you. And so she said, "You're going to China to get your daughters."
Mm,
I was 7 years old. China wasn't open when I was 7 years old.
that's
I was
right. It was
I was
opened
in
in the
second
70s.
grade,
Yeah.
and we didn't learn about China because China, we weren't teaching about China. So I came downstairs and I said, "I'm not having my own kids," which if I had been intelligent, I wouldn't have said that. But
Right.
but I said, "I'm going to China to get my girls." I just knew I was going to China to get my girls. I didn't know what China was. So anyway, eventually I did get married, and I made it very clear I was not having my own children. I was going to China.
Wow.
Everybody that knew me, they all knew that that was what was going to happen. So then I made it happen. I first had a very amazing career. Um, and I tried to dodge being a healer and
Hmm.
working full time for God. Like I went to St. Michael's College and got a master's in administration and management, an MBA. Anything, I did my thesis on property taxes and education in the state of Vermont.
Oh,
And nobody's improved upon what I did in 1990. That was in 90,
wow.
right? So, uh, so it's like I did really um, whatever God called me to do. Like I started a school for pregnant and parenting teens in Franklin and Grand Isle counties because there were so many teens with some of them with
Mm,
like three babies by the time they're 18.
right.
So, and that was so much fun. And it was just beautiful experience. Like these young girls with children of their own, very young,
Yeah.
um, all came from families that weren't able to give what was needed, started graduating from high school and going to college. And I think they just dissolved it like recently.
Wow.
I think there because abortion is a lot more accessible and all that stuff. But yeah, so and I actually ran into somebody I was protesting in Burlington at the courthouse in Burlington a
Hmm.
few years before I was called down to Beaufort that year actually, and I ran into one of the students, and
Oh,
she's a
wow.
lawyer.
Wow.
She's become a lawyer, and she's advocating for people. And so we were both protesting. I forgot what we were protesting, but it was a peaceful
Yes.
protest.
That's
So
amazing.
then when my husband's work, he was always chasing the buck. So when we moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I noticed kids with kids, and I started doing research, and then I found out, wow, I don't know if you know this, but the first housing development in the United States was built in Wilmington, North Carolina.
No, I didn't. I would assume it was New York City.
I know that's what I would assume too, except well, if you knew the history. Now, of course, I learned the history. Um, that's where they said that Market Street ran red with blood because our military went in and just massacred a lot of Black people.
Wow.
So
When was this? You mean during the Civil War or after?
after the Civil War,
Really?
yeah, and this really happened. Man, I could not. I was like, whoa, this is not what they teach in the history books. Right?
No.
Yeah. So we gonna run out of time here, but so I started a program for families that had children born addicted to narcotics.
Mm. That's
And that's one of the most
amazing.
horrible things to experience. Like I was able to get close to the children, closer than just about anybody else. But I think it was because I was close and they could receive the love, but
Yeah.
it wasn't overwhelming their neural system,
Right.
their
Right.
electromagnetic systems. And so, but this is how I did this. And it's like, it's not that I'm real clever or anything, it's that I always ask God to help me.
Mm.
And that's a really important key, is to remember, I call him God. I don't care what you call source, great spirit,
Right.
whatever. Um, and this idea came to me. Now, that was when the uh, Planned Parenthood was having a problem with their clinic still being bombed. And
Oh,
as a matter of fact,
wow.
it just, what had just happened down south where I was living, not in Wilmington, but in North Carolina. And when I was praying, I was going, okay, well, I need $500,000, God, so I can hire professional people who know what they're doing, the best. I always hired the best people. And so God just drops this thought in my brain. He goes, gave me a specific name, who's the head of Planned Parenthood in North Carolina, and ask him for $500,000. So I did. I said, this would be good for you, and it'll be good for these families that need help. And I said, because good PR. And
Yeah.
he's just sitting there and he's going, who is this woman? I'm,
Wow.
I'm sure. Anyway, I ended up getting the startup money.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And and I was the only white woman that they would let into their all black, almost 100% black communities
Wow.
at that time. And so that was an honor. And I I just saw miracles. I saw miracles in the mothers that
Yeah.
were obviously addicted to drugs, and that's why their babies were born addicted to
Right.
drugs. But and God saved me. Like I hired this one woman, her name was Ricky, and she actually grew up in Dove Meadows. So she and I were in Dove Meadows, which has been thankfully torn down and completely rebuilt a lot more humanely.
Wow.
But most of the people in the day when I was doing that, which was like a while ago, several decades, over four, um, like they didn't, the windows were always boarded up because of drive-by shootings and just like literally one time I was doing a home visit with Ricky and um I learned a lot about cockroaches and how you deal with them because they're just like the whole wall is like cockroaches. And
Seriously?
yes, seriously, I'm not making that up. And then if somebody turns a TV on or something and you're sitting there in the dark because people don't have electricity or lights, but they do have electricity because they could turn a TV on, but they don't have lights or just, like it's really
Mhm.
impoverished people in living circumstances. Nobody should be living that way. And when you turn on the light, the cockroaches
Scurry.
scatter. And oh my God, that day I go home and I'm like peeling, I was like wigged out. I don't mean that I'm not being judgmental. It has nothing to do with the horrendous
Right.
situations that people lived in. And I never felt that. But I was like, oh God, I don't want cockroaches in my house. So I stripped my clothes off, like when I'm getting out of my car in the garage and throwing them out the door.
Wow.
That was that was it was intense. It was really intense. So anyway, I did all those things. I did a lot of things. I worked with blind people, adults one
Mm,
time, and that was that was probably the toughest job I ever had.
really?
It was almost like I had such wonderful clients. And I was actually working for Voc Rehab, and I had a huge area that
Hmm.
I would go like from New Bern to North Carolina and stuff. And it was like people were so afraid to give a blind person a chance.
Hmm.
Had I not had that job and served these people, and they did find jobs and they were able to live independently.
Right.
And I learned to cook bacon with a blindfold on
Oh, wow.
so that otherwise, how can I have any idea what it's like to be non-seeing?
No, yeah,
And so people did, yeah, you just had to keep wearing on people and getting them to open up their hearts. It's like healing,
right,
all quantum, anything quantum. Like these are
right.
all quantum things. The fact
Exactly.
that we have places that people shouldn't be living
Right.
is quantum, and it's like, and the only way to change that is quantumly.
Exactly. And what that means to me is that you create your own reality. So when you grow up impoverished and that's all you know, that's what you are attracting, correct?
Right. That's
Yeah.
until you know
Change
something
that.
else, until you
Right.
change, until like I love your book because until you drop the lies,
Yes.
because that's what your book is about.
Yeah, the first book, In Every Belief is a Lie. It's all about our programming. Yeah.
It's all about our programming. And you asked me earlier, how did I like break out of that? And it was sheer will with a lot of grace.
Yeah. You would
A
have to.
lot of grace because come forward like a lot, like I had lots of other experiences. I worked with people who are duly diagnosed and mentally cognitively challenged.
Mm.
That was one of my favorite jobs. I say it's one of my favorite jobs. I'm 71, so I've had a lot of jobs. Okay. I also, I worked in at the Green Mountain Audubon Nature Center as a guide. That was a blast. That's the easiest job I ever had.
So, but you're also, and I know you're an incredibly intuitive healer. Like you work with people, helping them heal. So I want to hear about that journey of like the work that you do and how you help people and what that experience has been like.
Well, I just started out like if someone didn't feel good, even as a child, you know,
Hmm.
people would just say, "Oh, just go have her put her hand on you." Like I didn't even realize what the heck that was. It, so I just put my hand on the person, like
Right.
whatever. And then it, while I was healing myself, I started learning about things like therapeutic touch.
Mm.
And I was one of the first people trained in therapeutic touch.
Yeah, that's an amazing practice. I've had that done to me and it's really beautiful.
It's really beautiful if the person isn't in their ego when they're doing it.
True.
It is very easy to get in your ego. And even when I was going through the training, it's like love bypasses the ego. Okay, so
Mm.
we won't get into it now, but I have a whole different understanding and belief about what the ego really is,
Mm.
and that it wasn't a part of our original construction.
Right.
Like we
Our
weren't
original
made.
blueprint. Yeah.
The original blueprint had no ego. So that's all I'm going to say. So that would be enough to get me thinking if I was listening to someone say what I just did. Well, what the
Yeah.
heck does that mean? Well, it means think about it. Like when our hearts are open and we bypass the ego and we just go straight to our heart,
Right.
That's where the power to heal is.
Absolutely.
Ourselves and others. And everything. We everything can heal. Most things need to heal because we've kind of been so destructive.
Well, one of the things that I always say as someone who works in the healing world is I'm not healing anyone. I'm
No,
holding space for someone to heal themselves. And
exactly.
so the people who who do the work on themselves, you have to take responsibility for everything that's happened,
Yep.
even if it's happened to you, right?
Yep.
Still have to take responsibility for the fact that you're going to pull yourself out of that and heal
Yep.
that.
And only you are going to
And
pull yourself.
only you.
And is it you or I are not pulling anybody out of
No.
anything.
I may be raising the frequency to help, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So we're raising frequency, but ultimately it's up to the individual. How badly do you want to heal? Are you willing to change your life?
Exactly.
And you had to, because I remember really to get to come out of I had suicidal ideation when I was younger, 25, 20 years ago. And I realized that I had to make big changes in my life, and
Yeah.
that's scary. And that's where the surrender comes in,
Yeah.
and the trust and the faith.
First, you have to recognize that you have fear. I've never known
Yes.
anybody heal themselves without when I say, "What are you afraid of?"
Interesting. I
So
like that.
it's like if you find out what somebody's afraid of,
Yeah.
then that's like a showstopper right there.
Yep.
I used to have so much fear.
I would imagine.
I was afraid of everything. And but I did it. I always made the right. I made the to the best of my ability. I always was headed toward the light.
Well, you do the best you can with what you have. And
Right.
that's a mantra that I use a lot because it's about, look, you weren't dealt a good hand in the beginning. You had to do a lot of a lot of self evaluation, figuring out what you needed. You had to teach yourself. You had to
Yeah.
find the people. You persevered. And not a lot of people have
And
that.
I didn't watch TV.
Well, and there you go. It's interesting because, I meet a lot of farmers here in Vermont who don't watch TV either, but they know everything that's going on.
I always knew and know what I need to know. I have my
Yes.
friends will say, "Oh, did you know that such and such happened?" And I said, "No, but I'll pray about it."
Yeah.
So I forgot what the question was you asked me. But it was, so in my healing journey, I started out with therapeutic touch. And then I was one of the first Reiki people. I was like two steps from Takata, who brought Reiki
To the
to
United States.
United States.
Wow.
And when I took Reiki, it was really expensive.
Yeah, I think it was what,
And
about
it
$10,000?
was it was $10,000.
Yeah.
And you could not take any notes or
No.
draw the symbols.
No.
That's how close and pure it was.
That's why I'm astonished when I see the symbols like online, on t-shirts, like
And they're
everywhere.
not
I'm
even
like,
accurate. I'm like, that's a pretty symbol, but that's not accurate. This is funny. When I was training, I had a great teacher. I drove to Hardwick, Vermont to learn from her, and she was the real deal. She
wow.
was like she trained with Dakota, and she went on the West Coast to train with Dakota because
Wow.
Dakota came here to get trained on the East Coast. Not that I'm aware of. So when we got to like, and she taught it in Reiki 1, and then you got a huge integration and practice time.
Yeah.
Reiki 2, like you have homework assignments all the
Right.
time, and you had to work with a certain amount of people every week, and that's how it was. And I loved it because so when we get to like the master, so she taught it, and I always taught it the same way I was taught it was you have Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3, then master, um, it was 5 levels.
A master teacher.
Yeah, it was master practitioner, and
Yeah.
master teacher.
Yeah.
But that took like at least 5 years.
Yeah. Now they do one and two in a weekend.
I know.
It's very different. But you know
Yeah.
what?
Oh,
I
by the way,
wonder.
I started the
Yeah.
Vermont Reiki Association with Chris Hanna. He and I are the
Oh,
ones that started the Vermont Reiki Association, and we did it for two reasons: to train doctors and nurses, which we did,
wow.
and to train to get Reiki, to train people to give Reiki in the community
Yeah.
where people who can't afford it could never do it because they
Yeah.
couldn't afford it or whatever. So we had clinics like for, you name the thing, we had clinics for it. And that was 25 years ago that Chris is now deceased, but that we started it, and it just Reiki just barely dissolved. And it kind of breaks my heart because they took out the community service part and the
Mm,
training of doctors and nurses. And now it's only about making money,
mm.
which I'm sure is making it less powerful. But Reiki is powerful.
But it is very powerful. But I see people channeling different versions of it now. There's all kinds of things that happen. I've had a
Mhm.
lot of miracles happen around it.
Yep.
I'll share you stories because this is about you, but it's like I have like 30 stories that I could tell around Reiki. So yeah, it is very powerful. And you along with your intuitive and you all, so what is it that you're doing now? Because we're actually getting to the end. I want to make sure we cover everything. Is there anything that's important that you really feel that people need to take away from knowing about you?
I think knowing about me is that my heart right now is for people to develop their discernment.
Mm,
It is absolutely critical. Before COVID happened, I don't usually have visions, okay? I
hmm.
just in clear cognizant. I just know
No,
things.
yeah.
That's how I, they always just telepathically communicate with me. And it is so easy to be deceived.
Mm,
So, along with the discernment, I would say is for people to do everything they can to live from a deep, and I mean deep, inner peace.
mm,
Because from my experience and working with a lot of people, if you have peace, you can overcome anything.
I
And peace
totally agree.
is the only thing that cannot be faked by dark forces. And there are
Wow.
dark forces.
Yeah.
So, like, if people could just, whatever it takes, like, I love walking in the woods, being in nature, but you've got to develop your own discernment so that you don't need somebody else to tell you what it is that you need.
I think
Because,
that's a biggest challenge for all of us because we are raised, we are trained to give our power away, right? And
right,
so to be able to sit and listen to that small voice inside of us and
yeah,
trust that and override. And how many times do we say, I knew it and I overrode it anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter just said that to me last night. A professor was berating a student, and my daughter sat there and she said, that is not okay. She has no right to talk to that student that way.
Mm,
So when she was talking to me last night, I said, so what did you do about it, Tingy? And she said, well, I'm really pissed off at myself because I didn't do anything about it.
yeah.
And I said, so what were you afraid of? And
Mm,
she said, well, I don't want to have my grade dinged. I said,
right.
okay, that's legitimate.
Yeah.
I said, maybe after you get your grade, you can speak up
Great
to
advice.
undo that situation that just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that discernment is way underrated and underutilized.
I would
And
agree.
so developing that, and I've found that the easiest way to develop that is through the path of inner peace.
Hmm.
And so whatever way a person can do that, that's what I want to leave people with.
I love
So
that.
I'm moving into out of Taproot Healing Institute and into Illuminating Peace.
It's very much needed right now.
It definitely
The
is needed.
timing, it couldn't be more perfect.
I know, but when Divine Mother said to me about 6 months ago that that change was happening, I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
So when you hear weird things or like things you just like, huh, when Divine Mother said to me years ago, you're a spiritual alchemist. Well, that was before anybody was talking about spiritual alchemy.
yeah,
Nobody was talking about it. And then like now people say, well, what is spiritual alchemist? I said a spiritual alchemist is someone who heals everything with love.
I love it.
That's my definition.
I love that. And that's actually a perfect place to complete this. And I wanna commend you and thank you for your courage to tell your story. That was not easy. And I really
No, it wasn't.
appreciate you are very, very vulnerable, and I really honor and appreciate you for your willingness to tell your story.
Well, I wasn't intending on telling the
I
story.
know you even said to me, I'm not going to talk about this. And
And
I said,
I've
okay.
never shared it before. So,
Well, I
but
appreciate this.
I just felt like that's what Spirit was saying, that people need to know that you can heal from anything.
I agree. I
And
agree.
I'm a perfect example of healing from
You
every.
are. You totally are. And I will tell you, I will say this out loud as an empath myself, is that when I meet people who have been through that kind of trauma, there's only a very small handful that I know who have actually been able to heal themselves. Usually there's some kind of victim. I can feel it. You can feel it
Yeah.
in their voice. You can hear it. All of that. Like you feel really clear. You feel really grounded to me, and you feel really very much in your body. And that's a testament to the amazing work that you have done, your faith, and your your work in doing service.
Yeah, that I'm not special. That is just the most beautiful thing to do. It's always just it
It's
made
what
me feel
motivates
really,
you.
my heart feel really good.
Yeah.
Seriously, it does. Whether you're bringing a spinach pie to somebody or getting them a brand new car,
No,
it doesn't matter. Well,
it's a
thank you.
beautiful thing. Yeah.
And I love the cover on your book.
Isn't
And
it beautiful?
yes,
Yeah.
and you got to fix your thing because I wanted to order it and I couldn't. It wouldn't let
It's
me order.
not ready yet. It will be soon.
Oh,
No, it was just I was so excited I shared it. I'll tell you
oh, okay. So I'm
too
going,
early.
God,
No, it's not
888,
ready.
man. She's like giving this away.
No, no, no. That's for when we that's the for when we do like the authors. We're going to do an authors group where people can get the early bird price and they can meet the authors. It's going to be June 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And
Cool.
then everyone can order their books at that low price and then it's going to go up to 14.44. So I'm really excited. Yeah, everything's still in the works. By the time people read watch this, I'm sure it'll be fixed, but it's still in process. But the
And your
excitement that's
chapters,
starting to generate. Yeah, the chapters are amazing. People's stories are amazing. The hardest part for me, I having written my own book before, it took me 6 months, 6 months to do that. To do a collaborative book has been over a year.
yes. Well,
The amount
because
of
it's
work, I
collaborative.
thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was, but even I kept meeting people go, I need their chapter in my book. I need their chapter. And then I had to wait. And then it's like, okay, what order does the book need to go in? There
It'll
was
order
so
itself.
many. It did. It did. It was
Yeah,
amazing. So anyway, I'm gonna stop this recording. I could talk
thank
to you,
you.
but thank you so much again for your courage and bravery and all the beautiful things you do. And we will connect soon.
We will.